Week 2 in fantasy football already began with pretty much disappointments all around for anyone who has anybody on the Packers or the Bears. I think most everybody played below par except for maybe the defenses, especially the Packers defense. They really stepped up to their potential this week. But looking at last week's performances, we're going to talk about some people who I thought, their value might be rising or falling. On the rise, I was going to talk about the fact that Chicago's running duo was actually doing pretty well. These were the kind of things we expected from Peyton Hillis and Charles. Forte showed off versatility and big playability, while Bush vultured some goal line touches. Forte has value on all levels, and Bush has some decent upside. And especially now, after the game with Forte getting injured, if he misses any time at all, well, this is why the Bears picked up Bush. This is why you picked up Bush if you have him on your team. I think he will. That running game will continue without missing too much of a beat. Bush isn't the same receiver, isn't the same outside runner that Forte is, but he still brings plenty of experience and strength. And moving on to a few rookies, Luck and RG3 both impressed in their debuts. Doug Martin had a decent outing in Tampa. And I'm also just going to throw in Mark Sanchez because he had a great game as well. These are players who have shown that they have upside, but at the same time, right now, it's hard to say for a fact that they're going to consistently put up those same numbers. It's still very early in the season. But I wouldn't say that you have to avoid them. And looking at defenses this year, it was hard to say that, based on last year, there weren't too many really prominent defenses. But now, the 49ers defense, they played fantastic against the Packers. They look like they should improve. The Packers defense, they made a lot of plays on Thursday night. Week 1, the Jets, Ravens, and Eagles, they had some of the top picks. They were some of the big point earners that week. And the one that really surprised me and impressed me was the Browns. And a lot of people are saying that the Eagles just sucked ass, but maybe the Browns are just a better team than what we thought. The Browns I think they forced the Eagles to make mistakes. And they actually had a pretty decent defense last year if you look at some of the numbers. And fantasy-wise, they may have some potential sleeper value. Of course, you have to keep in mind that now Joe Haden is injured. Not injured, I'm sorry. He is suspended, and he's going to miss, I think, 4 games. So you have to keep that in mind. But at the same time, they do have a lot of decent players on the roster, and Joe Haden, when he does return, is one of the best young cornerbacks in the NFL. Him and Brandon Flowers have got to be like my top 2 under the age of 25. And there are some people losing values. I want to talk about 2 receivers specifically. You have Torrey Smith, who still has a lot of upside, but Joe Flacco has plenty of weapons around him, and as he showed us in that Week 1 game, he's not scared to throw to any of them. And Torrey Smith is still a quality player, but I don't really consider him a must start right now. And there's also a danger alert with Larry Fitzgerald. He is must start talent, but he's not in a must start situation. As long as they continue that QB carousel in Arizona, Larry Fitzgerald will continue to be a headache for fantasy owners. And until they find their guy like they had with Kurt Warner, where they are confident that as long as he's healthy, he is going to be the starter, that's when Larry's value really skyrockets again. But wide receiver is a very hard position to play because you can't do anything without your QB. And so, I'm a little more cautious right now when it comes to Larry. In my last draft, a lot of people were avoiding him. He didn't go till I think the 6th round, which that's a steal, considering that it is Larry Fitzgerald. But still, at the same time, he has 2nd round talent going in the 6th round. That tells you that his stock is kind of dropping. And then again, you look at players like LaShawn McCoy, Arian Foster, Ray Rice, and Rob Gronkowski. They are proving that they can pick up right where they left off. And I have one player that I'm really not sure what to do with. There is Alfred Morris, who I like a lot. He showed a lot of strength last week. He was a great runner, but he's playing for the Redskins, and as long as Shanahan is the coach, you can never really trust the halfback that he plays with. He's one of those guys where if you're desperate, then go ahead and grab him up from the waiver wire if there's no one else to go for. But at the same time, it's Shanahan. So, any questions? Leave them in comments below. I'll try to get to them today. Tune in on Tuesday for reflections from week 2.